When did you make your first million? 6 years old, 7 years old?
First million is through Bitcoin, but then I made a big mistake.
Are there any people around who would say, don't do this, like startups are hard, you won't have insurance?
OpenAI initially, to me, is like a very good company that follow similar strategy.
It's funny, like we're gonna replace all of the analysts with machines, and analysts will just have to bring coffee.
And your experience is amazing.
And initially I have bigger dreams. Let me use my mathematics to prove why deep learning works.
Can we just accept it as magic?
I was one of the earliest Bitcoin, like a core researcher stuff.
It smells of money, but
yes.
How do you make them?
I'm a mathematician. I was a Stanford math PhD. The next step is a leap of faith.
What an impressive story.
Hi, we are Nick and Marina Davidovs.
We run DVC, which is an early stage venture capital firm. We invest in early stage startups by repeat founders, revolutionizing the world with AI.
And in the free time, we like to interview portfolio founders and learn from their experience.
We try to deconstruct their businesses, show you how they're made, show what inspired them, and how you can start a new company. If you like content like this, please subscribe and leave a comment. This really helps YouTube algorithm notice us. So welcome to another episode of Deconstructed VC, a podcast where two early stage VCs deconstruct businesses that we invest in, and we try to explain how they work, how they're built, how they evolve, because it's a process. It's not, set in stone. And today we have a very interesting founder. Bill Sun is a repeat founder, a very experienced person to run a company, who created this out of a very peculiar place. And we're going to talk a little bit about AGI House, because AGI House is, maybe not making headlines, but definitely there's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of buzz around Silicon Valley and Cerebral Valley. I know there's a separate thing about what's happening inside. And it's a select few elite group of founders building really cool stuff towards AGI. And Bill, your company, G-Alpha, we really want to try to dissect it. And maybe for you, that would help in finding more teammates, finding more employees, finding new partners. For us, it's just general curiosity. We love understanding how stuff works.
And we love understanding journeys of founders, because somehow we all in this incredible place, Silicon Valley, Cerebral Valley, building something, but most of the time we could come there from different experiences. And your experience is amazing. Maybe we can start with with your journey.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for the invite. Yeah, it's really exciting to be here. And I think this is one of the opportunities I got to really share some of the long stories, starting from grad school all the way to now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We can start with your childhood.
Okay. Yeah.
So usually at this point we hear great stories of success.
Okay. Yeah.
Early success. When did you make your first million? 6 years old? 7 years old?
No, I think my first million is through Bitcoin, and it's I get to.
So 11.
No. Yeah, 2015 and all that. It's I get into Bitcoin pretty early. I was one of the earliest Bitcoin, a core researcher stuff. And I'm a mathematician. I was a Stanford math PhD. So I don't know much about coding at that time when I was in Stanford, but I know math really well. I did math Olympics. I was from packing math, a legit place to train you to how to prove theorems. And in Stanford, I was I'm a little bit tired of proving theorems. Let me find something that really make a dent to the world. So I look around, and apparently deep learning at that time is a rising topic, and it's so much more live than traditional math field. But I noticed a lot of the tools I learned in the old days can be applied. So
that was 2015.
Oh, that's 2014 when I first jumped to Stanford. So I was at Princeton as a visiting scholar during last year of my undergrad, and in IAS, the like the place next to Princeton, they were having this statistical physics with a bunch of mathematicians and all that. And there are people talking about machine learning with random matrix. I was like, oh, I know this. Oh, this seems much easier than the traditional like, proving a theorem for statistical physics. And the impact is much bigger. When to SML, there is like basically 1,000 of people squeezing into the same room, listen to Joshua Bengio or like Andrew and talk, while all the classical like machine learning math is like 50 people like listen to one person proving theorem. So I clearly get attracted. Oh, this is clearly the virality. And also I say, wow, it's actually doing something that shocked me. Like say at that time it's computer vision. It's already like make me feel like black magic.
That was right after AlexNet, right?
Yeah. It's AlexNet is 2012, but like most of the people realize the power of deep learning slowly in like 2013, 2014.
So many things came out of Hinton's lab, and funny, I didn't realize for a very long time that apart from Alex Krzyzewski, who created AlexNet, the second name of that paper is actually Ilya Sutskever.
Yeah.
The famous co-founder of OpenAI.
Yeah, of course.
Who's nowhere to be found. What did he see? Cool. So grad school, you got in love with machine learning.
Yeah. And initially I have bigger dreams. Oh, let me use my mathematics to prove why deep learning works. Of course, today we all know it's almost impossible dream. And even today, we don't understand truly how a ConvNet in 2012 worked. It's like as mathematician, I can pretty confidently say we are very far behind the actual practice. And I truly basically give up this hope of like, oh, let's use mathematics to understand deep learning in 2016. I was very fortunate to be one of the early people that worked at Google Brain in its prime time 2016. As an intern, I worked on question answering. And I was very fortunate to work on basically attention and the sequence model. So at that time, it's before the transformer paper, and I work in an intern group that basically next to the intern group that basically Ashish is leading, which is about basically trying different architecture for machine translation. So they discovered this architecture which do not need LSTM, it's a pure self-attention. The minute I hear it's like, oh my God, let me try it out. Since my previous architecture that worked really well, I honestly just ripped off the state-of-art bidirectional LSTM code from Google's production machine translation code. I was like, hey, let me try this code, modify, run it on question answering. Wow, it works. And then I basically took the new idea, I re-implemented, made a few modifications, and ran self-attention, and wow, it's even like more amazing. It's like just simply by swap out the bidirectional LSTM and swapping the self-attention, I see like massive performance increase. I got very excited to go back telling them like, hey, if you write paper about this architecture, you should also add in the question answering stuff. But then I made a big mistake because I have like a CPT and all that, like my summer is ending and I was about to go back to Stanford. I didn't really realize, oh, I should just like basically pay for Stanford tuition, extend my CPT, stay in Google Brain, be part of that experiment and be part of the paper. Yeah, so kind of regret, but like that's life.
Well, every author mentioned on Attention is All You Need paper is now a founder of $1 billion company or near protocol for some reason. I think one is working at OpenAI, but yeah, I mean like this paper got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
There was this announcement of a panel at GTC where every person on the Attention is All You Need paper from Google was present. And I think there was Jensen Huang who was interviewing them. And the heading for that was like, Google, retention is all you need.
Yeah. I kind of experienced the prime time of Google Brain, but also kind of feel, it's like it's a very kind of bottom-up research environment. It's probably very hard for them to concentrate the resource to do one big project at that time. At that time, it's like the best lab is Google Brain and DeepMind, so the two internal
Google
company competing. But I already see like DeepMind move as army. It's before AlphaGo, right? So later they use this army approach to get to AlphaGo, like big research groups of people. And I think OpenAI initially to me is like a very good company that follow similar strategy as DeepMind. They do like Dota, while like OpenAI do like basically StarCraft. And later I think OpenAI just really spotted the right direction to put all the resource, which is like language model, and that just took off.
A lot of people, I guess, did have this question as why do these research organizations that are paid hundreds of millions of dollars to do their research, they have enormous budgets. What are the most common application they start with is teach computers how to play video games. Is this the worthy cause?
I think it is. Initially, I thought, okay, it's probably not like well use of money. When OpenAI work on basically Dota, I was thinking, okay, they have so much resource and they could have be more concentrated and do one thing well, and that shouldn't be games, right? It's like the impact is not as big compared to what you can do elsewhere. But later I realized, it's very hard to find those perfect simulator that you can generate infinite data and just throw compute into a problem and just works and can show you the power of scaling. So I think it's kind of technically you don't have much other options, right?
So it's really to come up with architectures, right? And then try to train them on real world data to solve real world problems.
Oh, I think it's not. It's more like how do you get a humongous amount of data when you already have a humongous amount of compute resource?
Oh, yeah.
It's not that many options. Go is a great example. It has real world impact. It's a perfect simulator. It can generate infinite data. Mm-hmm. Say I work on finance, so I spend so much time thinking, can I build a great simulator in finance that I can use infinite compute and then I will get a great algorithm that just work. But it's very hard because in finance, you cannot get a causal what-if simulator. Say what if, say, Fed didn't save Silicon Valley Bank on the weekend? How would the world go? But in say gaming, okay, if I didn't kill that hero, it's the hero just walk around in its game engine. That's the difference. That's why game or Go, this kind of perfect simulator, a great place to start doing AI research.
I'll take it a little bit off course. What do you think of NVIDIA Isaac in that regard? That is effectively simulating the real world to train robots.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting project. Fun fact, before my wife moved to OpenAI, she worked on robotics at Google, and they were also building simulator. So we play with Isaac and all that. Oh, by the way, she also worked at NVIDIA on computer vision in, I think, 2017.
What an awesome family you guys have. Where did you meet?
We met back in undergrad in Peking University. She was physics gold medal and all that. And I heard about her for very long. And then we went to party for people that are about to go to Stanford and then met her. She's not only famous, but also beautiful. Then just chase after her. Yeah.
What an impressive story.
Yeah.
So you go back from Google Brain to Stanford.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
And
You've just seen this, sparks of excellence.
And maybe you can tell a little bit more about your work. You've been working on transformers at that time.
Yes. So I stumbled upon this great thing. I noticed, it seems we shouldn't just as mathematicians focusing on try to prove things about one layer linear MLP or we at that time haven't been able to figure out how to understand even a two-layer kind of fully connected neural net, which is back to the 80s already working.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the gap is so large. When I observe how Google Brain does empirical research, I think, there's no hope for my generation of mathematician to catch. At least throughout my PhD, I feel like there is no hope. And I decide, maybe if I want to do a startup or something,
Why do you think you were looking for this mathematical way to just explain clearly how multi-layer models work? Can we just accept it as magic?
As mathematician, we cannot really accept the alchemy approach. Hey, I just throw a bunch of things into a pot and work. We want to understand the chemistry.
Maybe if you were a physician,
Yeah.
Because physicians are good at, assuming things. It's just like, this works. They do not work together.
Yeah, today when I do startup, that's kind of my approach, right? We do a lot of like financial agent research, like leveraging different large language model, and I never really try to think, okay, mathematically, why do this large language model generate token? What happened in high dimensional space? I was more treating this as a new like operating system where large language model is like my new Python interpreter, and I try to write something and see what happens.
That's a computer, right?
Yeah.
It has its own RAM. It has its longer memory. It's interesting. So can you give us a 2-sentence intro of what G-Alpha is?
Yes. So to me, G-Alpha is a company that build AI agents that can do a lot of things that traditionally humans do in financial investment, including like try to analyze like millions of documents as fast as possible, and also like being able to combine the structured time series information with the unstructured text information, and drive summary, drive insight, and then drive action for like actual like trades.
So this is pretty much an artificial analyst, like a hedge fund or an IB analyst that is somehow able to read millions of documents.
Yes. We want to basically
but
scale
cannot
up.
bring coffee.
No, it cannot.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. But we have other people working on it, right?
Okay, so it's funny, like we're going to replace all of the analysts with machines, and analysts will just have to bring coffee to the machines.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe they will just...
or another fuel.
Yeah.
Or another fuel.
Yeah.
Electricity, like in the Matrix.
So the idea of generative alpha was born in AGI House, right? Or it was before and then you joined AGI House?
So I think I've been thinking about the idea of how to use kind of language model style stuff to understand the financial information back when probably 2017. It's like my first real quant finance job in 0.72. And
what's that? Let's dive into it. What's a quant finance job? I think a lot of people are super interested because it smells of money, but how do you make them?
So basically in 1980s, Wall Street start to have large computers and start to have like basically digital information and digital like order books and all that. And then people like Renaissance, D. Shaw is trying to get a smart mathematician, computer scientist, physicist to work together to basically automate what the previous generation of like trader in a trading floor do. And that is slowly involves to basically automate the kind of more simple rule-based and then linear regression-based type of decision-making systems. And those decision-making systems run fully automated and then just generate a lot of trades in a day. And that becomes itself a big industry today, probably occupy a major chunk of like the trading flow of entire like a global market.
So over time, it evolved from rule-based systems that basically like this happens, then I do this, to machine learning. And then speed became king. So everything started working at basically instantaneous speeds. And what is quant trading now?
So I think quant trading today is like a lot of basically smart mathematicians, statisticians, physicists still trying to cook up models that are based on this concept of human feature engineering. Like look at the data and try to understand, okay, can I write up a feature that describes the market, and then do backtest and try to find the statistical significance and then evaluate whether if I trade this strategy in history, would I make money? And then the next step is a leap of faith. If it works in history, it should work in future. That step is like a pure faith. The rest of the step is more scientific, like proper data science, right? And then you have this leap of faith that things worked in the past, work in the future.
So you're just trying to create a model that is complex enough that would try to explain how the actual economics works in the world. And then you test it going backwards.
You don't really need to explain. Essentially, your only task is to predict what happens in the next minute, next day. And if it like happened to work and you use some like weird feature that for you it doesn't make sense, but it's pretty statistically consistent. For a lot of hedge funds, it's okay. However, today, like that approach is still having a pretty significant gap from what a good human investor like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, Soros invest, right? So it's good human investors working in scenarios where there's only like probably like 3-5 examples of similar events happened in history. Or even in the case like Soros, there's like almost no example like happen in history. You can only use like principled thinking, causal understanding of how the market mechanisms.
Generalize outside of the training set.
Yes. If you went beyond that, sometimes there's no training set. It's like a more reading a lot of document, try to summarize the information, and then try to find the key drivers of things, and then figure out which key driver is actually going to drive the next period of market. I think that's how humans play the game.
So G-Alpha is not a quant system. It's like exactly the system that is empowering humans to make this more strategic trades.
Yes. So the initial mission is that I have been working in quant trading for very long, and I noticed all the quant firm, no matter old or new, is basically converging to very similar like high-level approach. And people are basically only competing on like the small technical details. And we joke about quant finance as there is a massive roller coaster of like that is running, and we just run in front of the roller coaster and trying to pick up some dimes that are spread on the ground that are like a kind of deterministic or high statistical significance opportunity. But none of us understand how the roller coaster is moving. And I'm trying to say, okay, for today's AI, it's still pretty hard to fully understand how the roller coaster moves. But I can work with basically human being and have a human in the loop approach to enable them to be much more efficient. And humans are in the game of understand roller coaster, but they are limited by like their bandwidth of processing information, their bandwidth of actually do work, right? Like a good investor only have like a limited amount of time. He cannot replicate himself 1,000 times, cannot work like say 10,000 hours a day. But in machine, you can scale everything up. You can just basically replicate 40% of one person's ability, but like just scale it up.
So let's move a little bit back before the G-Alpha. So you've been working on quantum trading.
This is quant.
Quant trading, and I'm sorry, you've been working on quant trading, and then decided to start your own journey as a founder.
Yes. So
do you remember how it happened?
Yes. So after I so should that date back to the days at Stanford. So at Stanford, I was actually very interested in do startup. And I founded this club called AI Plus Club together with Tim Shi, the CTO co-founder of Cresta. And we were like exploring different business models. And I was already basically pretty dead set. Okay, the sector I will choose is AI plus finance. And spend a lot of time working in different finance industry firms like Point72, Citadel. And also like two of my advisors are also very experienced in quant finance. One advisor, Stephen Boyd, is kind of the guru of like portfolio optimization and also currently lead BlackRock's AI lab. Another professor, Davidovs, who is like super successful in terms of his research, enabled a lot of like say like feature selection in previous generation quant finance, and he's like in one of the most famous quant trading shops that I don't know if I can share in public. And throughout this influence, I know like what I have been learning is super useful in this industry. So it's like give me confidence I can probably do some contribution in that field. So I spend a lot of time in that, but still thinking, okay, can I grow a company out of this direction? So when I graduated from PhD, I have like faculty offers. I also thought about startup. I was kind of stumbling around trying to figure out what to do for almost a year.
These are very different. Like joining the faculty or starting a startup is just very different lifestyles.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you're still like trying to decide long term, like do you want to invest next 10 years building a startup or next 10 years doing academic?
Yes, so basically then while I was stumbling around in 2019, COVID hits around and basically everything froze. At that time, I was super scared of COVID. I was like, okay, I don't want to see anyone. I want to just like stay at home, only meet people, Zoom. And then I find, okay, it's probably impossible to start a company from scratch now when I cannot meet people. And being a faculty while it's like COVID, it seems really not fun. I don't want to be like remote teaching every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, maybe go back to my old business, and I look into quant finance industry. And because I did okay previously during my PhD in quant finance over like internship and all that, I'm very fortunate to become like a portfolio manager, which basically like run your own shop in a institutional setting where they provide you the fund and help you to recruit team, but you build everything technically from ground up. So I got to get a team, have my own basically trading strategy, so-called a book in like Millennium World Quant. And
Do you have like how much assets under management do you have at that time?
I don't think I can share exact numbers, but on the order of billion.
Billion.
Yeah, and I'm trading mostly like U.S. equity, and the approach is more like using a lot of machine learning to predict how the market move in future, and then try to build a basically agent that old-fashioned fixed agent that
Can you share
act on
like
it.
the confidence of these predictions?
So I think every single prediction don't need to be super high. Probably like say, if you have a 60% win rate is already very impressive because you accumulate the statistical significance over different stocks. And then if you like make decision on 3,000 stocks every day, it will give you basically a pretty good end result and are stable. And I do this for more than 3 years. In the middle, I basically observe quant finance as a relatively fixed industry. People are just drilling down all the details. But I observe machine learning moving really fast to the point when I say like GPT 3.5 come out, I was like, oh my God, whatever I worked on in 2016 just almost become from like a singleton to a baby. Now it can actually do real things and cross the like a gap between a technology that is fun but still in lab to a technology that can directly serve consumer without even any additional data to train and all that. I was super excited and I feel like, oh, this is one in the lifetime opportunity that I should abandon everything and just do this startup.
I love this feeling where something that impactful happens that is just a wave of brilliant people not even considering, just making the leap of faith, quitting Google's, OpenAI's, like everything. Well, a lot of people quit Google and other companies and to join OpenAI. But a lot of people were like, well, I got to make something with it.
Let's continue on your journey. And then you see the opportunity to actually make more difference by building Generative Alpha, your company.
Yes. So I have been thinking about this idea of like, hey, can I make a basically new technology of AI, right? Like different from classical machine learning, to build a company that's different from traditional quant trading, but also inherit the fact that we do automation and we make human being like much more efficient and do their work probably only 70% of their quality, but 10,000 times the effort, right? It's like a machine in general is this kind of beast that if you teach it about one thing, it can just do it endlessly on every single stock or every single asset. So it's really good for repeated task. And I was just looking around, and I think one of the major bottleneck for traditional quant is we only work with numbers. It's very hard for us to work with a text, even those multi-modality content with a plot, with say even numbers in like a SEC filing that is not super structured. Basically we give up because clean those data is so costly, and we have to have human engineers sitting down writing parsers turn those data into structured data and then clean all the nonce that are created by this, and it's like so much work. Now we have new technology, and I think we can literally mimic how human beings analyze those documents and
but faster.
Yes,
and
just
more.
process it at scale.
So you had this idea. How did you start working on that? Did you find somebody to work with you? Did you start alone?
Are there any people around who would say, don't do this, like startups are hard, and
come join OpenAI.
You won't have insurance, and yes, better to go to OpenAI.
Yeah, I guess about joining OpenAI, around the same time I'm thinking about making this move. My wife also have a big life event. So first we know we had a baby in like January 2023, and we're preparing for the baby, pretty excited. And then Google basically laid off entire team of my wife in basically Google robotic. The team is called Everyday Robots. Basically like 200 people, very strong machine learning talents, robotic talents, and Google say that project is too long term and doesn't really have a goal of reaching business PMF, and basically laid off the whole team. Of course, Google Brain gave her an offer to continue working on robotics, but we were a little bit disappointed at that time, and were looking. So as I was considering, okay, what I should do for startup, I was also basically trying very active to say hey, where should my wife go? It's do a round of research on the market. So our conclusion is you either do startup yourself at that time or join OpenAI. So basically my wife joined OpenAI. I do startup. So
that's good. So in the moment of uncertainty, you decided to even put bigger risk on uncertainty and build a startup.
Yeah, I guess we have been working for 3-4 years after PhD. We did okay. We have enough safety net in the life, so it's okay. It's just to stumble upon random things for a year or two. So we don't feel our life is in crisis and stuff. Yeah. It's more the exciting opportunities coming. How should you spend the valuable time?
Do you think it's important to have safety net before you start journey like this?
When I look back now, I think it's less important. When I was in PhD, I'm a little bit scared. So as I said, I was a co-founder with Tim on AI Plus Club. We spent a lot of time doing research on different business model in AI back in the days of 2015, 16, 17. But Tim jumped off the PhD train and basically leaving third year to start Cresta. And I was I have such comfortable setup in Stanford. My wife is in Stanford, same year PhD, and I have two probably best advisor I could ever hope for. It's really comfortable setup. Let me enjoy the Stanford environment a bit more, even if it's really a kind of luxury consumption of time. I think it's worth it. So when I look back now, I feel I might have got too comfortable at Stanford. I should have pushed myself harder and forget about all the safety net and all that. But that's all yeah.
But that's interesting how a lot of people who haven't made the leap yet regard this as I gotta create, some reserves. I gonna feel more comfortable. I won't have any, I won't have dental insurance when I start my company. Before I raise any money, that's gonna be hard. And then people who do make the leap always look back and say, I should have done it earlier.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Maybe we're also looking at survivors and
there's definitely survivor bias. Yeah. I also think throughout the years that I work at Wall Street, I also truly learned a lot about how industry works and how enterprise work. What are the inefficiencies they face and what are the organizational limitations that limit them from doing something new. So it's I can see all this more clearly, and that is probably going to be very valuable for me in the long run. So I don't really regret, but in terms of safety net, I don't feel I need to accumulate
Oh yeah.
very long.
Let's back to AGI House. And at that time, you like met the guys, or before that, how it happened?
Okay, so AGI House is a fun subject. Basically, during COVID, I was working as a portfolio manager, and I lived in like LA area just to avoid meeting people. It's like I like cannot really meet people before I get the vaccine. I was super scared and all that until basically Google calls for everyone to go back, and I look at the Bay Area, say, okay, where should we live now? And basically Tim tell me, hey, Andre Kaparsi started this fancy mansion that I already moved in. Do you want to join? And I go over. I was shocked by how fancy the mansion is, and it's kind of like a very, very glorified version of Stanford dorm. And
so wait, but you've been living there with your wife, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the only hard part is basically convince my wife, hey, let's living a co-living style life in this mansion and pay the same amount of money that we pay for like a pretty nice 3-bedroom apartment. And it's worth it, and it's okay to lose some privacy just for the fun of life. It's like a hard sell to my wife, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I basically, tried very hard and get it happen. And in the first year, in 2022, we didn't even figure out the house should be about AI. So just a bunch of friends living together, and we throw a lot of crazy parties, even like 400 people. Party with like Central Park style horses and flying cars. Yeah, so like crazy days. And then by the end of the year, a bunch of our housemates was in Miami attending Art Basel. And we're just chatting after drink, like, hey, if we run the house next year, what should we do? So we get Rocky, who is now running AGI House, to like say he's like interested in really like spend his entire time running the house, and we were super excited that someone fully is like being the adult and can run. So that's like a success factor number one. Then like we were saying, okay, we should have a sim for the house, and then basically there is a concept that everyone agree on, which is like we should focus on a house on AI, specifically AGI, since all of us think, okay, like general AI is coming, and we should differentiate on traditional like AI and just call us AGI House. That's how in 2023 the house changed name, have a new branding, and like stop running any party with DJ and focus on becoming like a real AI house that deliver high quality content and basically do good contribution to the AI community. Like every 2 weeks we have like AI hackathon that probably like 200, 300 people
so
attend.
You changed parties to hackathons.
Yes.
But there's still dinner parties, right? Like every Friday?
Yeah, so in the dinner is more like we have like the 30% kind of upscale private chef style dinner party with like basic industry thought leader. So in some sense for us, it's to replicate the Jeffersonism style, like a discussion where one person talks about concept of like say, hey, the future direction of like AI enterprise, how to do go-to-market for AI stuff. Basically, we every time select the topic and invite top speakers or like top VC to come and like discuss this. So I don't consider that as like a party, but more like a kind of
social,
like fire chat style.
That is super interesting.
I have a question. I need to know, like, there were rumors when we last time been in AGI that Rocky actually is a tyrant.
Is he a tyrant?
I don't think so. I think Rocky is the one that makes sure the entire AGI House run smoothly. And basically, if you think about it, if you a bunch of kids living in a dorm, it'd be like slowly get messy, and each person want to throw their birthday party here and there. There need to be someone who stand out and say no and kind of make people unhappy. Yeah, I think Rocky.
So he's not a tyrant, but he's just
he's an adult.
He's an adult.
Yes. I think I'm really happy that Rocky stand out 2013 and. He made so much effort in making sure the house runs and getting the community. So it's
so
really
after
amazing.
Andre left OpenAI again, Is he more involved with the house or?
I think Andre is in a state of life that he wants to probably like educate more people entering AI, and I'm ready.
I love his
Yeah, and
ideas.
he's so good at this.
Yeah, I think he's like truly the great educator, and I think that's how he use his impact and really respect what Andre is doing. Also, I think he's like quite busy even in the first year when he rented he basically set up the down pay for the house. But I think we did a calculation together with Andre in 2022. He probably lived in the house for two days. He has like this massive, probably like a massive master bedroom with like 2 floors and like a probably like a 3,000 square feet just for a master bedroom suite, and there is only 1 mattress that Andre put in, not even a bed frame. It's like a very, very interesting setup. Yeah.
Well, he's brilliant. Let's talk a little bit more about the company. So how many people are you now?
And first of all, like now it's 9 months, maybe I would say.
Yeah.
So less than a year. And how many people?
Officially have 6 people, and we also have contractors and everything. And we try to move fast. I constantly inspired by like Demi with Pika, able to achieve like great results initially with only 4 people. So I'm trying to say, hey, let's like move fast and keep team down. But also like we have so many things we want to try, and it's like I'm always like looking for great talent, both technical and business talent. So it's like there's a constant battle in my mind. Okay, should I grow a team or should I? So I'm more like taking opportunistic approach. Like if I run into someone, I really see fit out.
Who are the 6 people?
We have like a strong technical people from like ads, core ML in Facebook. Now Meta, right? So they are in the team that is basically in charge of the 100 billion revenue every year, and their
so these
algorithm.
are all engineering.
Yes, so a majority of our company is engineering. We also have like business people that are like serial entrepreneur that was in YC in 2014 when Sam was leading YC, and they have like a major exits. So just try to like mix and match like different experience.
So how many people are product?
So currently I do most of the product work, and I'm currently very actively looking for like head of product, VP product person.
So
if you're a great product person, come join.
Yeah. I never did product manager work at all. So this startup is basically my first official like product work learning experience. So initially we just do a lot of things quick and dirty, and slowly I realized, I should find a good designer who have good taste, and instead of only a front engineer that like work with me to generate a crappy front end. I slowly just making this learning experience. So.
And you're still pre-launch?
Yes, so currently we are in the phase I consider more like a open beta, where we put a product that everyone can come and register, but we do not go and publicize and promote our website, since we want to rely on the initial kind of organic kind of ear to mouth type of growth approach to test whether people truly use it, because we kind of choose probably 10-20 sparks of people who are like Wall Street investors that work in this setting, and let them spread to their friends and do the basically slow grow to like have internal beta test to make the product polished. And soon when our product is ready, I think we'll have a official launch that is for everyone. Now if you know where to get our product, you can try, and it's almost just out there, and it's kind of currently free, so just go there and play with it.
I loved it. I loved it. That was I think we spoke to a few of our LPs when we were making the decision to invest, and I think you met them. So Konstantin and so TradingView, and their reasoning was actually a little different. So you were saying that I'm building this incredible smart product that is going to be the infinite analyst for every person doing trading, right? And their motivation was different. There was like, imagine how many analysts are there in investment banks and that are just spamming all of the rich people in the world, offering them different trades. There are like probably hundreds of thousands of people doing just that, and this product just can replace all of them.
Yeah. That's, I think they're basically talking about step one. I'm thinking about I think probably step 5. I don't think we have successfully reached to the point that we can fully replace Wall Street, even junior analyst, as a human being can still do so many different things. We are taking the approach
because of the coffee, right?
Yeah, because of the coffee and because like a human can pick up call and actually like ask person, and the human can basically do a lot of in-depth thinking that still today's like large language model have not reached to the level of reasoning ability. There's a lot of different bottlenecks, but we basically try to replace the most boring hours of as an analyst, which is slowly like moving from 60% of that person's time to 70% to 90%. The hardest part is from like 95 to 99, then to 100. When you reach 100, your product value will jump in a crazy way from just like a software to all of a sudden the price of human. But like that last mile is just like auto driving cars. It's very hard to bypass the last mile.
So when you were starting, I think Bloomberg GPT was already announced. So you were diving head first into competition with one of the largest players in the field that will inevitably try to compete you, outmaneuver you. Was there a lot of people who would tell you like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I think when I do fundraising, a lot of people do ask me about Bloomberg GPT, and I spend a lot of time reading that paper and all that. But I feel like there are so many different approaches. Their approach is basically find one open source model, take their code, and then spend $4 or $5 million pre-train, and then like fine tune and do everything themselves to have a large language model. To me, that approach is really dangerous. As basically, if you think about OpenAI, it's like they set the baseline for the entire field, right? There are open source models that are chasing that C line, but they are basically the C line of intelligence. Yeah. And you can only, even Bloomberg with the talent and the money, can only like try to match that C line once. But OpenAI have so many talent, and the C line is slowly raising. You need to predict where the C line goes and just build a essentially shape that get ready when the C line get to you. And they were like, I think Bloomberg's approach is like try to brute force chase the C line, and I think that's
what Bloomberg's doing with Bloomberg GPT is just ultimately replacing their UI with a chat. And there might be prisoners of the innovator's dilemma where they cannot undermine their existing business. And the problem for me is that people who professionally use Bloomberg, they don't need a chat interface. They are good with, Bloomberg keyboard. They can do everything in seconds.
Do people still have these Bloomberg big machines?
I don't know. I used those like 10 years ago.
I still have clients that basically say when they start a new quant trading firms, they can just live in basement, but they need to buy 2 Bloomberg terminal to get working.
Oh, really?
It's basically like almost a software engineer needs to install a terminal to start type coding. Yeah, so it's still the bread and butter. And
we still have faxes, like most of the offices.
Yeah, most of the offices still have fax machines. Well, Bloombergs are pretty useful, but it's just, you go 2-3 steps ahead of that. You're automating a person using a Bloomberg terminal, not just building a UI for that. And I don't think Bloomberg can do that because that would undermine their existing business model.
I think that's one reason, but also I think in finance, you don't really need to outcompete Bloomberg to become like super successful company, right? As long as in the whole value chain from processing information or like providing like a trustworthy, credible data, or like having an algorithm that can basically give people a little bit of edge, or like have a tool that do not give people any predictive edge but make people much more efficient. Or like just make people's decision-making process slightly more like reliable or making people's risk management slightly more systematic. Anything you do, you can make a lot of money. So it's like a pretty rich mine to start mining. Which direction you go, you might stumble upon some gold, and you don't really need to go after Bloomberg and outcompete them.
That is true.
Any like advice you have for aspiring founders who wants to create anything like in the intersection of AI and finance? Are there any like trends you can see? What would be great like products to think about?
If you weren't working on G-Alpha, but you would do something in finance, what would that be?
What would that be?
If I don't work on the current company, I would probably work on the intersection of crypto and AI. Okay. It sounds like a joke, right? It's like, oh, you put the two hottest things and put them together and you raise all the money. That's kind of people's joke about crypto plus AI. But if you think more seriously about what AI lacks today, my angle is we really need data, especially like data that are not available on the internet. And like slowly AI company will realize they run out of data to either train or do in-context learning, right? Like OpenAI probably already script most of the public open internet. So we inherited humans kind of behavior traits over the last 20, 30 years of like a Web 1 internet. But when we get to like Web 2 and mobile, every data got locked by different companies like Facebook, by like TikTok, and by all that. Also the Web 1 company like Google and Amazon also learned to lock their users' data. So now we do not have any of those data in exposure for like AI companies to touch. And that becomes a major problem. And if you look at business, it's the same, right? Like it's very hard to get touch on Bloomberg terminal data. And at quant company, we spend millions of dollars just to buy data sets that are just sometimes even slightly more refined data than public available data. So I think data is truly getting really the bottleneck for AI to grow. Of course, there is like compute and all that, but data to me is definitely the number one. And I think with crypto incentive,
currency on the future is data or compute.
I think to me there are different dimensions. Bitcoin is kind of more like the coin that based on proof of work, which is like energy and compute,
yeah.
right? Yeah, and if you think about it, there is no such thing as a unit of measure for the value of data. And I think if I'm not working on G-Alpha, that's probably the direction I would spend time for.
So I've seen lots of people running from crypto to AI and back and forth. So
because the funny thing is that AI does not need crypto. Crypto needs AI.
My angle that like an AI company got stuck with getting data is basically like AI needs the crypto incentive mechanisms. Not necessarily crypto, but we need a better incentive design, to like get
fair.
people to really share their data. So that's something that I think, in some sense, I would not say AI needs crypto, but like AI need incentives. Yeah. And in terms of crypto need AI, I think today's crypto is still like a small group of people's hobby. Yeah. It hasn't hit the mainstream. If you look at how many people have like any wallet, it's still a small fraction.
And
of people.
Also darknet's currency.
As our friend shaped it, it's like fantasy league still.
Yeah, it's a fantasy sports investment league.
Yeah, so we still need basically a like major adoption application that make people like get crypto to hit mainstream market. And I think AI is probably the one.
What do you think about WorldCoin?
It's a very interesting concept. I'm friend with some of the co-founders, and it's an interesting concept that they are able to do this proof of human likelihood. The only concern I have, which is why personally I did not go and collect the airdrop, is I feel like in the future my eyeball retina data might be super valuable if I like use it to lock my safe or something, right? Retina is such a like a unique biometrics that even if everything is super private, I might still feel the danger of like sharing it.
Yeah, that makes me also feel quite uncomfortable. There are biometrics. way. But I think it's if it succeeds, that might be one of the cases where AI needs crypto. Because
Yes, but to me, I think there are other ways that you can solve this proof of uniqueness of a humanhood, right? I'm more aligned with Vitalik's angle of like you need a soulbound token that is like bound to yourself, and for me, it should be bound to your digital behavior. Like humans have lived on the internet for the last 20, 30 years, and every single person that have at least took some education is probably having a phone and have some like internet application. So I think there are enough kind of history that makes it super hard to fake a humanhood. And that is already something that can be an alternative to the government KYC, ID, passport system to give people like a uniqueness.
Yeah, there's a lot of applications for that. Let's go back to your company a little bit. So tell me the story of your first check. How did you fundraise the first money for the company?
Okay, that's a hard question. It's been a while, and I basically try to talk to a lot of people I know in the old days. So back when I was doing Stanford PhD and thinking about startup. So I think initially the fundraising is mostly like, hey, I have this idea and we don't have much, but like, here is a story. Are you interested? And I got there is like a multiple checks that probably arrive around the same time. It's mostly just like, hey, looks like a good bud, and we have been known for a while, and you seems pretty smart. Go hear the check, go figure out.
So there was a people that knew you before.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much roughly did you raise in the first few months?
So I raised around 4 million in the first few months. So that's basically
that's a pretty good round.
Yeah, most of the
for the first
money.
fundraising.
Yeah, that's more like the pre-seed money, and that time we don't really have product per se, right? So just to build a proof of concept demo. And
how much have you raised total?
After that, I didn't raise much. I just occasionally pick up investors that are more like strategic, like DVC. Yeah.
So what are the plans for the next 12 months? What do you see as the biggest bottlenecks? What do you want to work more on, and where would you need help? New hires, somebody maybe who's watching us now, who might want to join the company.
Yes, so I think a few things. First, a very strong product person that are much better product manager than me, and also have strong sense of like, okay, how to dissect the potential user groups in more refined ways. What are their specific needs? What are their major pinpoints that they would tolerate all the like bugs and the things, and are willing to even pay to use it, and how much are they willing to pay, and like what are our strategy in terms of pricing. This is all the things I'm currently trying to figure out, and I want someone that basically has been there, done it, have deep thoughts about it to join and basically accelerate our learning curves. That's one, and also like I want a strong kind of product / design person that have also like with a good investment experience, understand what's user journey when people come to a product, and what's people's habit, how to make it super smoothless and elegant, good taste. The third is probably like strong go-to-market person that understand, okay, either like for the sales channels, for like a mid institution or large institution, what are the right way to approach them, and also for the like general marketing, having like give people good impression and like capture traffic, what are the best way, and for our product, when should we start what type of campaign, and when should we start what type of sales process at scale.
For me, it sounds like in spite of the fact we are still early, but your like journey as a startup founder feels pretty smooth. Like not a lot of like bumps on the road. You've fundraised quite a lot of money for pre-seed. You were able to hire great people. on the way to pre-launch and looks like everything is super clear. But what was the most challengeable thing for you?
I think I face the same problem that probably most of the early startup founder face, which is finding PMF, finding product market fit, understanding, okay, we have a team that is basically capable of building almost everything with the limited resource, right? Of course, so if we say our goal is just train a better model than OpenAI, it's probably like not within our resource bucket. But technically, we can build anything. But like, what should we bet our chips on? Which direction should we go? And what angle will help us accumulate? The more we interact with user, will become better. And then also like for different directions, some will immediately get cash flow, some will like basically grow for a long time until we decide to monetize. So there are different strategies. I'm still even today trying to think about this problem. So I wouldn't think we have already find the answer to product market fit, and still like learning this every day. I think this is probably the hardest part about being a founder to me. It's like how do you make the bet?
There's a good comparison of finding product market fit, which I find pretty accurate in my experience as a founder. So when you're looking for product market fit, it feels like you are Sisyphus and you're pushing the stone up the hill, and it's super hard. And it's hard in every direction, and in some direction it's even harder. But then all of a sudden you reach the summit and the stone starts just rolling on its own. And all of a sudden, all of your problems change from trying to, persuade people to try, persuade people to pay, persuade people to talk to you, to how do we get more resources? How do we, support more users? Like, wow, here's a bottleneck. We need more engineers. This is a very interesting thing that one founder explained it to me as like, this is like an orgasm. Like, it's very hard to explain, but you can definitely not, like if you had it, you're 100% sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So you're probably going to be experimenting a lot in the next like few months. Yeah. So what kind of mindset do you approach this with? Like, are you certain that you will find like a great product market fit in a certain direction, or do you want to maximize number of attempts with the runway that you have? What is the idea there?
So I'm definitely not interested in maximize number of attempts. I would hope one attempt get us like a good algorithm, right? And then it's like, nice from there. I think for me, I already see some very, very good sign of early product market fit. So one, I think internal story is we're working with a group of hedge fund managers. They all have managed like 100 millions to $1 billion AUM, and probably like 20 of them in a group, and they are all good friends. And I start to work with them, and we have like basically weekly meet to like try to deliver them something, and they use our public product, but they just feel like, our speed of like providing them value is not enough, and they do want the product. That last week they fly to California. I'll live next to like my office in San Mateo, and basically will stay in California for a whole month. And this month they will suffer the bad time zone, like wake up at 5 a.m. to basically look at market, and also like basically just be there for us and give us daily feedback. I think this is something that makes me very confident. Okay, I see early signs of
that smells like a really good early signs.
Yeah.
What is the number one feature they request?
I think they want us to help them basically like reduce the number of information they like receive. Okay. As a human beings, they have been really well served as they are like a powerful portfolio managers. So they are having big budgets, and they like register for all these different like Citibank, Goldman Sachs research report, but they only have limited time. So they don't even want to kind of spend time like read even the paid content sometimes. and they just want us to give them the thing that they needed the most, so that they don't
digest without missing the important stuff.
Yeah.
That is actually a very challenging task to do.
Yes.
How do you do you have any ranking for importance of the facts?
Yeah, we're currently trying to build this kind of thing for different. So basically, you need to understand a different group of people, since their ranking is drastically different. Although they are doing investment, they have different taste of the way they do investment. So basically, you need to first understanding the landscape to classify groups of investment styles, and for each investment styles, understand their way of working, their workflow of information consumption, and the workflow of analytical process, and then try to basically help them automate as much of that as possible, so that they can save time focusing on basically the most important decisions, or the most important game theoretical thinking, what are other people thinking and all that. That's something that still today's machine cannot really get on, and need the best human to participate in that part of game. But I think a machine can do much more than traditional quant finance, which is only crunching numbers. We should basically help them prepare all the information in the most structured form, and digest all the different unstructured information, and be the filter layer. Currently, we have a great tool that can basically search information, or help you go over the information that you know. But we are trying to build in the domain expertise and the knowledge for what are the information that we should consume.
That is, that's a lot. It sounds like a lot of stuff to code.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are having a very strong team, and the team is still just learning how to use AI large language model. As initially we were okay, maybe the AI model is super smart and can do all things, and we test, and we immediately see a lot of boundaries that AI today cannot do, right? Even GPT-4 or Cloud 3 is still, in our eyes, relatively retarded. And it's still pretty far from a well-educated...
Dear future robots, he did not mean to offend you.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's okay, right? If you look at the speed of AI on log scale, how fast they grow. I still remember working with BERT and GPT-1, so I'm super confident. Before we basically figure out all these things, AI will also reach the next iteration. And then we'll have a new, it's basically operating system upgrade. As we use large language model to code up our prompts, code our agent stuff, and merge that with our software 1.0, Python code and all that. The operating system itself also upgrade and unlock more abilities. Say, today AI is still not that good at data science. You cannot really hope you give AI the instruction I give to a quant researcher that they can give me a kind of satisfiable answer. But I can see the trend where that's something possible on the road. And
when we reach AGI, your mode's going to be around data.
First of all, we need to have a clear definition of what AGI is. So I would choose the working definition of basically the AI need to be general enough and robust enough to do probably say 95% of generic kind of knowledge workers work. Yeah, today I think we are not reliable enough as technology there, and also for some ability it's still there's a gap. So I kind of agree with the Microsoft paper that in GPT-4 we see a sparks
of
intelligence for AGI, but it hasn't got to the point where it's super reliable and good. But
GPT-5, from the gossip we're hearing, of course you probably have more information than that, but from the gossip we're hearing, it's a pretty big leap. I don't know if it's going to be called 4.5 or 5, but it's a pretty big leap, but it's not yet AGI.
I think I have obligation to play poker face in this question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying to stand up. It's funny. I think Claude, Anthropic released their Claude 3 model, which is very impressive. and a lot of the world are enjoying it now. But OpenAI will retaliate very soon. They'll release something very impressive.
I think large language model is a pretty interesting race to the bottom, as you need a lot of money to truly train a kind of model that will stay in the field for the even next 8 months, right? Like if we look 8 months ago, it's pretty hard to imagine some model as powerful as Grok will be released, and I think this will even accelerate rather than decelerate for the next at least 1 or 2 years. And in this journey, I think for startup, we need to buckle up and think ahead. Basically, in a year, how good large language model would be, and basically build both for the future when AI become better, and also build for today to satisfy what we need to satisfy with our customers.
There's actually a very interesting debate, and I think you'll be able to comment from the point of a researcher with a really, really good reputation in the field. So we just had this discussion with one of our advisors. He told us, you guys are investing in thin wrappers of companies that are basically building a product on top of somebody else's model, and it's not reliable. But effectively, you're building on top of existing models. You treat models as a commodity, and you see your product in a combination of something else. How do you comment this discussion that a lot of VCs see stuff built on top of foundational models as moatless?
Yeah, so initially I also thought through that thing, and there is a period that I also think, how can we build technical moat? And when I look around the entire, I think, startup space and also big company space, I realize, basically every company that I participate in the game of model have no moat. So it's okay. It's no one needs to have moat. We are not NVIDIA, not like a deep chip company. So I think the key is to gain the insight of what your user want and how writing prompts look like such a simple thing, but it's not that far from writing Python code. To a very hardcore engineer, right? Fortran, writing Python is like writing language. Now to basically the good machine learning engineers, writing prompt is such a stupid job. But I think to properly architect a system that mixes a large language model OS with the traditional programming OS and make some system that actually works is very non-trivial, and you will build something much more complex. Initially, when you write hello world in Python, it's so trivial. I print hello world, right? And slowly you build a very big architect. I think in large language model, it's the same.
You're a really good answer, and it made me think that maybe we should not be looking at companies as a snapshot, because it's really about the culture, about the people. Because your small team of six people is not what you've built, but it's what you can build with this team, with the culture, with the motivation, how fast you can move. So your moat might be in the dynamism of the,
which is essential in this absolutely rapid changing AI world. And
the faster it's changing, the more culture matters. It's if you're General Electric, probably you don't have enough motivated people in the AI department to build stuff faster and better than Microsoft. But maybe but if you're a startup and you have a team good enough, a culture good enough, then maybe your mode is just by being consistently able to outperform and outpace the competitor.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing. And also, I think there are so much things to do with the new technology. I don't really think we are threatened by either the big incumbent or by other startups. I think the name of the game is more like an exploration game. Can you find the right format that utilize AI to satisfy your clients? And can you figure out who are the clients that will truly need it to the point that they are willing to suffer all the inconvenience of early technology? I think just by realizing that, is gonna be worth multi-billions. If you look at how much NVIDIA or Microsoft is worth just by unlocking one realization would easily like give them like a few tens of $billions more in valuation, right? So it's like a whole exploration game.
Do you have any advice for aspiring founders? Like what you already learned and think is essential?
I think of startup as more like going on to like a hiking trail. So do not really worry about competitors in the early day. Before you hit product market fit of the second phase, before you have that organism, it's more like you have like other hikers that hike with you and you all do exploration. So I think that's one. Second is it's very hard to basically stand in front of the start of the hike and forecast the street and know what the hiking trail looks like. So it's extremely hard to like try to live in a big company and say, okay, I want to accumulate enough knowledge that when I do startup, I know exactly what to build and succeed. Occasionally that works out in deep technology company where someone assemble a super strong technical team with a well-defined goal and rebuild what is already known but like cannot be built and sell the company for a lot of money. But most of the time, I think it's just you go on a hike and take unexpected turns as it goes, and yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully not meeting a mountain lion.
Yeah.
No, there are some risk on the way, which is necessary. I love the metaphor.
That's a really good metaphor. Thank you so much, Bill, for joining us today. And I hope we made it a little bit more clear for somebody what G-Alpha is and what you guys are building. Hopefully we inspired somebody. Maybe we inspired some curiosity. This is my biggest hope.
Yeah. I would love to have people try our current like open beta. If you go to like G-Alpha.ai, you can like play with our current. We released a few different product bots that you can try out and love to get any feedback.
And maybe you can make some money trading, not an investment advice.
Yeah.
Or apply for open positions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We're hiring, as I was saying, also like looking for very technical, strong people always.
Thank you very much.